Hello and welcome to our tutorial on model editing within AquaTwin Sewer. It's very rare that GIS data is perfect whenever you bring it into the model. So today we're going to be covering how to add and delete features, how to edit feature attributes, how to edit feature geometry, and how to convert your feature asset type. So we recommend that you follow along this tutorial with our tutorial document and tutorial ArcGIS project. And we'll go ahead and get started. First, we're going to cover adding features into AquaTwin. There are really two main ways to add features into AquaTwin Sewer. The first of all being the import center. So if you have an existing shapefile or feature class, you can add it to your map and then import those features as well as their fields into your model. The second way that you can add features into AquaTwin is the AquaTwin ribbon add tools. And those basically allow you to draw in the features wherever they need to be. And we're going to go through both tools in this tutorial. You'll notice in the tutorial project that we've added a few layers down at the bottom of the contents pane. Let's go ahead and turn those layers on. And we can see at the southern portion of our model, we have this little area here. We're going to use the import center and the add tools in the ribbon to add this area to our model. Start by going to the map tab in the ArcGIS ribbon. Click select and select all of the features that we would like to import. After the features have been selected, go to the AquaTwin Data Explorer and navigate to the Tools tab. In the Twin Builder section of the tools, you'll find the Import Center. We'll start by importing our conduits. So you'll see that our source data type is set to feature layer. So we can click our data source dropdown and select the SS gravity layer. Next, we'll make sure our update options are set to create new because we want new features to be created from the features that we have selected. Next, we'll click the ID field dropdown and select Facility ID. Then we'll map our digital twin data by going down to the Auto Map button. Now we're ready to run the Import Center. Before we close the Import Center, we're going to import our junctions, and those are going to be located on the manhole layer. Let's make sure we specify our ID field. Then we can also click Auto Map for these features as well. Now we can close the Import Center and deselect our features. And we can see that all of the conduits and manholes that we had selected have been brought into our model. Then we're going to go back to our AquaTwin ribbon. And we're going to use the Add Link tool to connect that area to the rest of the model. So we can come here and click our start point and double click our endpoint, and our conduit will be added to the model as well. Lastly, just in case any of the features that we've imported or added to the model have any issues with their geometry, we're going to run a connectivity builder. Start by going back to the Map tab up on our ArcGIS ribbon, clicking Select, and select all the features that we just added to the model. Then back in our Tools pane, we're going to open up the Connectivity Builder. And we're going to overwrite existing upstream and downstream node IDs and select Build Connectivity. And we can deselect our features. Now, all the features that we had selected and imported are connected to the model and their geometry is correct. And that concludes our portion of the tutorial on adding features in AquaTwin Sewer. The next portion of our tutorial is going to cover editing feature attributes. So an attribute is basically a cell of data that belongs to a shape. And you can see over on the right-hand side of the screen in the asset properties, we have several cells of data, and all of that belongs to this C18 conduit. So whenever people first start using AquaTwin, they want to come over to the contents pane and open one of these layers and open the attribute table and begin editing their attributes within this attribute table. But we want to remind people never to do this because AquaTwin operates off of an AquaTwin geodatabase. And just because you edit features within the attribute table doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to edit the data in the AquaTwin geodatabase. So this can cause corruptions within your model and is going to cause problems in the future. We're going to cover several other ways that you can edit feature attributes to make sure that it updates within your AquaTwin geodatabase. When building a model in AquaTwin Sewer, a lot of times it's helpful to build a profile to make sure that your pipe slopes are valid. So we're going to build a profile for this small section right here. First of all, go to the AquaTwin tab, open your ribbon, and then we're going to click on Profile. We're going to specify a start node here and an end node here. Then we're going to click Find Path. And we can see here that we've got a lot of issues kind of going on in our model. We've got some positively sloped pipes that we need to address. We're going to use the attribute editing tools within AquaTwin to fix the profile that we just viewed. The first method we're going to use to edit feature attributes is the Asset Properties pane over on the right-hand side of the screen. The Asset Properties pane is useful for editing feature attributes if you're editing a single feature. To use the Asset Properties pane, first go to the selection cursor in the top left-hand corner of the Asset Properties pane. Then navigate to the feature that you would like to edit. In this example, we're going to edit the junction that's right beneath my cursor. You'll see on the right-hand side that the attributes for that particular feature have been pulled up in the Asset Properties pane. We're going to change the invert elevation of this feature to 741.5. You can see how using the Asset Properties tab could be time consuming if you have a lot of attributes that you need to edit. One of the more efficient ways to edit attributes of many assets is by using the twin tables in the Data Explorer. You can open the twin tables by first clicking the Data Explorer tab, as shown here on the left, going to the Digital Twin section, and then clicking on the Junctions table. This pulls up all of the junctions that are present in the model. Rather than attempting to scroll to each individual junction that we're trying to edit, we can have the twin tables pull up only the junctions that we're interested in by performing an ArcGIS selection on the area of interest. So in our Map tab, we're going to click Select. Select the features that we use to pull up the profile, and then pull up our twin table. And you can see here that only the junctions that we had selected pulled up. And this makes it much faster to edit the junctions in question. Now we're going to change the values of the invert elevation of these junctions to where they make a little bit more sense in the model and get rid of those positively sloped pipes. Now that I've changed these inverts to the correct values, let's take another look at the profile. And then we're going to go to the AquaTwin ribbon, select Profile, select our Start node, in our EndNode, select Find Path, and we can see that our profile has been corrected. Another useful method for editing several features at the same time is the bulk editor within the twin tables. So let's go back to the section of the model that we had imported previously. Let's select those and pull up the conduit table. So again, here you can see it only pulled up the features that we had selected, but we're going to change the roughness of all of these pipes to 0.01 rather than 0.009. And we can use the bulk editor to do so. Start by selecting the first cell of the column that you would like to edit, and then scroll down to the very last cell. Press the Shift key on your keyboard and click the last cell. This will highlight all of the cells in the column that we're trying to edit. And then you can open the bulk editing tool. And here, like I said before, we're going to change the value to 0.01. And we're going to put 2 decimal places and click Calculate. And you can see in the twin table here that all of these values have been updated. In addition to the bulk editor, if you click the drop down here, we also have a field calculator that allows you to do operations on either one or multiple fields or attribute fields for your different assets. The last method that you can use to edit data within the twin tables is the copy-paste method. So if you have data that's in an Excel spreadsheet or some other kind of table somewhere, then you can copy and paste that data into our twin tables. It's normally useful to sort your column, sort your asset ID, and also sort the asset ID in your spreadsheet that you're working in before you copy the data. So that way you ensure that the data is being pasted into the right location. Next method that we're going to discuss to edit feature attributes is the Apply Selection tool. So the Apply Selection tool works within the Asset Properties pane and basically allows you to change a single field of many features all at the same time. So you'll see that I still have this area here selected, but I'm going to come up here and select just one of these features for right now. So you can see in my Asset Properties pane that all of my fields updated to represent a conduit. So now we're going to use the Apply Selection tool to add a description to all of these conduits that I have selected here in the area that we added. So the Apply Selection tool is going to be located within the Asset Properties pane. And you have to remember to select one of the assets that you're going to be bulk editing before you select all of them. So after you've updated the fields within the Asset Properties pane, you click the drop down that's right next to the selection cursor, and you click Apply Selection. Now we're going to add a description to these features, just noting that this is a new area that we added to the model. And then I can select just one of these features, and you can see that that description then stays with the feature. Let's look at the conduits twin table just to make sure. So you can see in the description here that all of these features descriptions have been populated using the Apply Selection tool. The last tool that we have to edit feature attributes is actually going to be the import center. So if we go back to our tools and navigate to our import center, earlier when we imported new features into the model, we had our update options set to create new. But let's say that you had a feature class that actually had some updated features or updated attributes for those features that are different than those in your model. And you can select this update existing option and fill out your import options similar to how we did earlier. And using the facility ID or uh, you know, figuring things out spatially, it will assign those new fields that you map over to your model. One of the most common mistakes that new users of AquaTwin Sewer make is that they will, if they need to delete features, they'll simply make a selection and then press the delete key on their keyboard. But we want to remind users never to do this because, again, similar to editing feature attributes in the attribute table, it's not going to be linked to the AquaTwin geodatabase. So again, it could corrupt your model geodatabase and cause problems in the future. So we're going to discuss a few of the correct methods to delete features within your model. There are two tools in the AquaTwin ribbon that you can use to delete features properly within AquaTwin Sewer. The first is this Remove Asset tool, and basically that's best for if you're removing a single asset, a single point or junction, or a single conduit. And you could just click that tool, go on and go to the asset that you would like to remove and click it, and it'll be properly deleted. The other tool is the delete selection tool. And prior to running this, you need to perform a selection on a portion of your collection system and then click the tool and those features will be removed. In this tutorial, we're going to go through an example where we create a query to select all of the pipes in our model that are 8 inches or less and remove those pipes using the delete selection tool. We're going to start off by going to the selection tab of the Data Explorer, going to the Save Queries folder, and you'll see here that we don't have any save queries created yet. And you can right click on that and we'll generate a new query. And just to reiterate, we're trying to generate a query that's going to select all of the pipes in our system that have a max depth that is less than 8 inches or 0.667 feet. Since our model mainly works, our model works off of max depth rather than inches in diameter, we need to make sure that we structure our query to represent that. Within our query editor, we want to make sure that we have our asset type set to conduit. And in our data source, we're going to select digital twin because that is where all of our actual model attributes are going to live. So that's where our depth max is going to live, and that's how we're going to be performing our selection. Right next to this query line in this drop down. So these are all of our different fields that are in our model, and we can see this depth max is right here. And here we're going to figure out our operator that we're going to be using to perform the selection. And again, we're trying to select all the pipes that are less than, and we'll fill it out here, 0.667 feet. And it's important to remember that depth max, again, runs off of feet rather than inches. So that corresponds to a pipe that is less than 8 inches. So now we can click OK. And we're going to run our query. So we can see here that we've got several pipes selected throughout our model. But one thing we want to make note of is we can see here that it's also selected our pipes which correspond to force mains in our model. And we don't want to select these pipes because we want our pump stations to still function normally. Now, we can also create what's called a nested query. And a nested query is basically, we'll take the selection that's performed in the first query and perform another query on top of that to narrow down the selection even more. So once we highlight the first query that we made, we can create new query. And the same process applies. We have conduit selected, and we're going to go to data source, digital twin. And here we're actually going to go to our shape type. And the shape type is going to be what corresponds, is how the model determines whether or not a conduit is going to be a force main or a gravity main. And we are going to only be concerned with our circular mains because those are the ones that correspond to gravity pipes. Select OK. So now, if we select query 2, we can see that our force mains in our model have been deselected, and all that we're left with is our pipes, our gravity mains, that are less than 8 inches in diameter. As I mentioned before, we're trying to delete these out of the model. So now we're ready to use the delete selection tool here up in the AquaTwin ribbon. And to use it, all you do is after you perform your selection, click the tool. This action will delete all the elements in our GIS Pro selection. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And all of those features have been deleted from our model. Next, we're going to use another useful selection tool within AquaTwin Sewer to find the junctions that those gravity pipes that were less than 8 inches were connected to, because now they're disconnected from our system and they need to be removed from the model. So over in our Data Explorer, you'll see this select drop-down menu, and we can use that to select disconnected junctions, and we're going to run the delete selection tool again. Now, all of those areas have been completely removed from our model. Last but not least, we have one last tool that you can use to delete features within AquaTwin, and that is over in our Asset Properties pane. You'll see this Tools menu over here, and if you select a feature within the model and its attributes are pulled up in the Asset Properties pane, you can use this tool, the Delete option down here at the bottom, to delete that feature from the model. Feature geometry is an important part of AquaTwin Sewer. Unlike some modeling softwares out there, the geometry features in AquaTwin Sewer is not just for graphical information. AquaTwin Sewer actually uses the location of features to calculate their lengths, resolve connectivity, and route flow throughout the model. So it's important that features are as representative of reality as possible. And also that's why we set our spatial reference whenever we're first generating the model. In this portion of the tutorial, we're going to discuss how to edit the geometry of features. So the first tool that we're going to discuss is the Update Geometry Data from Map tool. So unlike deleting features or creating features, you actually can use some of the tools that are available in ArcGIS, like the Edit Vertices tool, to change the shape of the features within your model. But you have to remember to run the Update Geometry Data from Map tool. So once you get your features in the shape or location that you would like them, you come over here to your Data Explorer and your Tools tab and find the Update Geometry Data from Map. And you can double click that, and that will basically save whatever edits you've made to the geometry to the AquaTwin geodatabase so that they're not lost in the future. So next we're going to discuss the tools that we have available in the AquaTwin ribbon to um, actually edit feature geometry, and that is the Move Node tool and the Reshape Link tool. And actually we're going to demonstrate how to use those tools in this tutorial by reshaping this pump station that we have here. Let's say that we had some guys go out and they discovered that this is not actually how this pump station looks. We're going to use these two tools up here to make it a little bit more representative of reality. To use the Move Node tool, you're going to start off by coming up to the AquaTwin ribbon and click the Move Node tool. And then you're going to navigate to the node that you're going to try to move. Then you're going to click and hold on the node you would like to move and drag over to the location that you want. And you'll see that that location, the node then snaps to that location. And we're also going to do this for the node at the downstream side of our pump. So come here, click and hold, and move it down a little bit closer to our storage node. And you can see that it snaps to the new location as well. And once you get done moving nodes or reshaping geometry or anything like that, make sure to click this finish button down at the bottom of the map. Next, we're going to reshape the force main that we inadvertently moved while we were moving our nodes around. We know that it probably doesn't go through the middle of these houses, so come up here to the AquaTwin ribbon, click the Reshape Link tool. First, you can click anywhere along the conduit, and that's going to select the conduit that you want to reshape. You can see it flashes green. And then you begin by clicking the upstream point that you would like to start. So we're going to click here on this junction. And then you can go in and add vertices wherever you would like. So we're going to come here, here, and then to finish reshaping the conduit, we're going to double click on the endpoint. And again, be sure to click the finish button, and you can see that our link has been reshaped. Next, we're going to review the geometry tools that we have available in the Asset Properties tab. So if you click the Tools drop down in the Asset Properties tab, you see that we have Change Geometry and Reverse Geometry. So let's say that if we go in here and we can go to just a random conduit here, and we click. Now that conduit is selected in our Asset Properties tab. Actually, first we're going to turn on our arrows so that we can see which direction our conduits are facing. So you can do that in the digital twin options. Go into Map Display and then check the Display Conduit Directions box. And actually, we're going to reset display as well. So you see all of our arrows have been added to each one of our conduits. And again, we're going to make sure that we have this conduit here selected. And we can see that it's traveling from left to right. And we're going to use the reverse geometry tool. And what that's going to do is it's going to flip the upstream and downstream nodes. So if you click that, we can see the direction of the pipe has been flipped, but in this model it actually needs to be pointed the other way. So we're just going to use that same tool again. We also have the change geometry tool, which works kind of in a similar way, but you can use this tool if, let's say that your conduit is go into the wrong node for some reason, then you can use these selection buttons here to pick the from and to node that conduit is connected to. Similar to the change geometry tool, within the asset properties pane, if you select the from and to cells for a particular asset, you can see that it flashes the node that it's connected to. And if you click these three little dots here, it'll actually let you pick which node. So in this case, we're not trying to check or not trying to change what we have in the model, but you can select the geometry of the node that way as well. And another tool that we have to edit feature geometry is actually the import center. So going back to the area that we edited earlier, so we're going to actually use the import center to reverse the changes that we made earlier. If you'll notice in the catalog pane, we have a sewer tutorial geodatabase added to this project, and this contains all of the features that were in our model prior to us making any of the changes in this tutorial. So what we can do is we can add the pump layer, we can add the conduit layer, and we can add the junction layer and the storage layer back to our model, and you'll see that those features come in the location that we had them earlier. So now we're going to open our import center, and we're going to update the junctions first, and we need to make sure that in our update options that we click update existing, and also we click update geometry. And then we specify our data source, which is going to be the junction output layer. And we need to set our asset ID. And we're actually not going to map over any of the digital twin data fields because we already have those in the model and we don't want to change those. All we want to do is update the geometry. So once we have that checked, we can run the import. And you'll see if I turn off the layers that I added earlier, then we can see that our junction here has been moved back to the location where we had it. So now we're going to go back to the import center and rinse and repeat this process for all of our other features. So we've got junctions, then we can do pumps, update geometry, same deal, asset ID, import. And we're going to do conduits, asset ID, update existing, import. And last but not least, our storage. Import. And you can see here that all of our features have been moved back to the location that they were. So again, just to reiterate, I ran the update for all of the features within the model, but let's say that you wanted to update the geometry of only a few of the features, then what I could have done once I added all of those layers to my map is I could have performed an ArcGIS selection and just selected everything here and open the import center and set up the update existing and update geometry options and just done that as well. So the last of the tools that we're going to cover to edit feature geometry within AquaTwin Sewer is the GIS network cleanup tools. And those are going to be located in the Data Explorer on the Tools tab. And if you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see that we have an entire section here for GIS network cleanup. So each of these are tools that kind of pertain to very specific situations, but whenever you really need them, they come in handy. The first of these tools that we're going to discuss is the search pipe splits and split pipes tools. So within AquaTwin Sewer, you should always have a junction at the start and end, or a node, actually, I should say, at the start or end of a conduit. But let's say that for some reason you ran an import and you have a node or a junction of some kind that's been placed along the middle of a pipe. So you can see here that we've added a node along the middle of this pipe, but that node isn't at either end, and it is not the node that's specified in the geometry for that pipe. So this is a situation where, if this was a gravity main, where this pipe should actually be split, because most likely this is actually two pipes with a manhole that's connecting the two. So we can use the search pipe splits tool to find areas where this particular situation occurs. So you can double click search pipe splits, click yes, and this tool might take a little while to run depending on how many features that you have in your model. So you can see that the pipe where this particular situation happens has been selected. Now, on the similar note, if you want to go ahead and split this situation into two pipes and update the geometry for each one of those pipes to reflect that node in the middle, then you can just run the split pipes tool and that'll correct it. I'm not going to do that here just because the situation, how I have it here, is the correct way that the pipe should be. So again, using some of the tools that we covered earlier, I'm going to come in and remove this junction. Actually, no. I'm going to select that junction. And once I have it selected, I can use the delete selection tool. The next sort of special situation that we're going to cover is the vicinity junctions. So let's say that in your model, you have two manholes that are really, really close together, but they're actually supposed to represent a single manhole. For one reason or another, maybe one feature was added and then somebody discovered that it wasn't the correct location. It was off by a few feet, and so they added another feature. And that actually happens quite frequently. So we'll kind of recreate that situation here by zooming in really close to this junction, and we're going to click here. So actually, no, we don't want to split this pipe. We still want to add the junction. So you can see we've got two junctions here that are really, really close together, but for the sake of demonstration, we're going to pretend that those junction should actually be 1 and not 2. So we can use the Search Vicinity Junctions tool to find where this particular situation might occur. So in this particular example, the tool wasn't able to find the junction that I added there, but that's because I have my settings for how close the nodes need to be set to too short of a distance. So we can edit that distance and some of the other distances that are used in the GIS network cleanup and our digital twin options. So if we come to connectivity, in our digital twin options, you can see that we have this junction merge distance. So currently that is set to 0.1, so that's 0.1 feet, which is the units in my map. But let's go ahead and change that to something like 2 and see how that changes the tool. So we've got that changed. Now let's run the tool again. So now it says 2 vicinity junctions have been found. And you can see that those have been selected here on our map. Similar to the split pipes tool, you can also use the merge vicinity junctions tool to go ahead and not only find where that particular situation occurs, but merge those 2 junctions into one and correct the error. So next, we're going to cover the Search Intersecting Pipes tool. So normally in most collection systems, it's not very likely since, you kind of have to keep up with a downsloping grade for sanitary and stormwater systems. It's not normally likely that you have intersecting pipes. What more often than not happens is you have some intersecting pipes, and at the point that they intersect, there should actually be a manhole there, but for one reason or another, it's not. So we actually have a tool that'll find where those situations are. So we can double click on Search Intersecting Pipes. Want to continue? Yes. So we can see here that it's actually found 2 crossing pipes. In our example, so let's say that these pipes were crossing here and we knew that there was supposed to be a manhole there, then we can run this Fix Intersecting Pipes tool and it'll go ahead and drop a junction here at that intersection. In this particular example, this system is a little bit unconventional, but this is actually supposed to be here, so I'm not going to run the tool. Next, we're going to cover the Verify Pump/Valve Directions tool. So as you'll see in both in AquaTwin Sewer, our pumps are represented as links. But in some programs, if you're migrating over to AquaTwin Sewer, those pumps are actually going to be represented as points, and it'll have conduits on either side of the point. Well, one of the things you have to make sure of whenever you import those conduits is that they're both facing the right direction, or else AquaTwin Sewer is actually going to have some problems during the import process. This is covered in a little bit more detail within the tutorial document, so I don't have one of those situations in this particular model, but go take a look at it in the document if you'd like to learn more. So that concludes all of the different ways within AquaTwin Sewer that you can edit feature geometry. So let's say that you make a mistake when you're building your model and you accidentally import a pump as a conduit. We have a couple of tools in AquaTwin Sewer that allows you to convert each of the assets from one type to another. The first way that you can do this is through the Asset Properties tab. So let's say if I wanted to convert this pump to a conduit, then I would come over here and select it in my Asset Properties pane using the selection cursor. Click the Tools drop-down, come down to the Convert tool, and I could select any one of these other link types, and that asset will be converted. The asset properties method works best if you're just trying to convert a single asset, but let's say if you want to convert a selection of assets, then we have within the GIS network cleanup tools, the convert node asset type and convert link asset type. So you can see I performed a selection on a few assets here. If I click the convert link asset type, then I can again choose my what type of asset that I want to convert these to. So that covers all of the methods that we have for converting assets within AquaTwin Sewer. And with that, that completes our tutorial on model editing. I hope this has been helpful.